There's a blue stone buried under Madagascar's red earth that changed entire villages before most of the world even knew it existed. Some traders whispered that a single rough sapphire pulled from these jungles could buy a house, erase a lifetime of debt, or transform a miner's fortune overnight. Rumors grew wilder with every stone that surfaced. Tales of fist-sized gems glowing like bottled lightning, of buyers arriving in helicopters with briefcases full of cash, and of hidden markets where the price of a single sapphire jumped from a few dollars to tens of thousands within minutes. Whether these stories were exaggerated or not, one thing became impossible to deny: sapphires had turned Madagascar into one of the most chaotic and fascinating mining frontiers on Earth. Before we dive deeper, tell us in the comments, would you ever risk everything for the chance of finding a gemstone that could change your life? What makes sapphires so captivating isn't only their beauty, it's the strange mix of hope, luck, and desperation tied to them. These stones formed millions of years ago, when intense heat and ancient pressure fused minerals deep underground, creating crystals that eventually washed into rivers, jungles, and dry savannas. Their journey is written in their flaws, tiny fractures, specks of trapped minerals, or streaks of color that reveal where they were born. But it's the blue that captures the imagination, a color that shifts under sunlight like the ocean itself. For centuries, royalty treated sapphires as talismans of wisdom and power, and in the luxury world they still carry an aura of mystery. A single gem can sit on a crown, a celebrity's necklace, or a ring worth more than a house. Yet most people never see where these stones truly come from, or the lives shaped and shattered by the search for them. Madagascar's sapphire boom didn't begin in a corporate mine with modern equipment. It started with whispers. A farmer picking through soil noticed a glimmer. A child found another near a dry riverbed. Then someone sold a stone to a traveling merchant for more money than they had ever seen. Within weeks, thousands of people abandoned farms, fishing nets, and classrooms to chase the dream of striking blue gold. Entire forests were torn open as makeshift camps exploded overnight, tents made of sticks and tarps, fires burning through the night, people digging from sunrise until exhaustion set in. It wasn't organized. It wasn't controlled. It was a modern rush fueled by poverty, chance, and the desperate hope that the next shovel of earth might reveal a fortune. Unlike gold or diamonds, sapphires don't lie in predictable veins. They hide like secrets scattered through gravel, clay, and ancient riverbeds. This uncertainty is what keeps people digging. Every hole becomes a gamble. It might lead to nothing but mud, or it might uncover a stone that changes a family's entire future. The miners know this, and still they keep going, some with basic shovels, others with nothing more than their hands. Hours pass inside narrow pits barely wide enough to crawl through, the air thick with humidity and dust. Above them, ropes tied to tree trunks serve as lifelines as piles of earth are hoisted out bucket by bucket. No machines, no safety systems, just human strength and the hope there is something blue hidden below. When the earth is brought up, the tension rises. Miners pour muddy gravel into wooden pans and swirl it in circles, letting water wash away the lighter material. The heavier stones, if any, sink to the center. Every rotation feels like a heartbeat, a moment suspended between disappointment and euphoria. A flash of blue can trigger screams, applause, or bargaining that lasts all night. Most pans reveal nothing, some reveal enough to buy dinner, and on rare days a miner holds a sapphire so vivid and clean that buyers fight for it within minutes. As soon as a sapphire surfaces, the entire energy of the mining site shifts. Buyers, known locally as collectors, appear almost instantly, some arriving on motorbikes, others emerging from the shade as if they had been watching the pits all day. They carry scales, loops, flashlights, and thick stacks of worn banknotes wrapped in rubber bands. Every negotiation becomes a small storm. 2 or 3 buyers crowd around a miner, each trying to be the first to make an offer, each attempting to read the stone under trembling beams of light. To the untrained eye, it looks like confusion. To those who live in this world, it's a choreography, fast, intense, and unforgiving. Prices change depending on color, clarity, and whether the gem glows with the electric blue Madagascar has become famous for. Sometimes a miner sells too quickly, accepting a few dollars for a gem worth hundreds. Other times, a single stone sparks bidding wars that echo through the camp until dawn. Once purchased, the rough sapphires begin their next journey. In dusty town markets, traders sort through piles of stones, separating them by shape, tone, and transparency. A gem with even the slightest hint of purple or green suddenly becomes more valuable. A deep, velvety blue can multiply the price instantly. Some stones look dull at first glance, but reveal fire when held against the sun. Others appear perfect, but hide internal fractures that make them fragile. Traders rely on tiny details, angles, reflections, even the way the stone feels between their fingers. It's a world where intuition often outweighs logic, and where a mistake can cost a fortune. These traders then pass the stones along to international buyers, who ship them to Thailand, Sri Lanka, and Europe, where the next transformation begins. Inside modern cutting workshops, the chaos of Madagascar is replaced by precision. Technicians work under bright lamps, studying each rough sapphire like a puzzle. Every cut must be calculated with extreme care. A stone sliced just a few degrees off can lose half its value. To understand its potential, cutters examine the crystal from every angle, looking for the perfect orientation that highlights its color while avoiding hidden inclusions. The rough sapphire is then placed onto a dopstick, secured with wax, and slowly shaped on a spinning lap coated with diamond powder. Hours of grinding go into carving each facet, each plane designed to catch and reflect light. A single mistake can ruin weeks of work. A perfect cut can create a gem capable of ending up in a royal collection. What's remarkable is how much a sapphire can change during this phase. A cloudy, uneven stone from the mines can transform into a vibrant jewel with a glow that seems almost unreal. Heat treatment, used in most of the global industry, enhances the color and clarity of the gem. By heating the stone to extreme temperatures, technicians remove unwanted tints and highlight the deep blues buyers crave. Although controversial to purists, this process makes sapphires more accessible, turning imperfect stones into treasures that captivate the luxury market. At this stage, the gem's value skyrockets, sometimes increasing 100-fold compared to the price paid in the mining camps. When the cutting is complete, the sapphires move to jewelers' workshops, where artistry takes over. Designers sketch rings, necklaces, and earrings meant to showcase the stone's best angles. Goldsmiths melt and shape precious metals, forming settings that hold the sapphire in place without stealing its light. Tiny prongs are adjusted and polished by hand, ensuring the gem sits perfectly centered. Even the smallest movement, less than a millimeter, can change how the stone shines. Once assembled, the jewelry is buffed until it gleams, ready to be displayed in upscale boutiques where its origin feels like another world entirely. For many customers, the journey behind the jewel remains invisible, replaced by the illusion of effortless beauty. Before sapphires reach the polished world of luxury shops, they undergo strict evaluation in gemological laboratories, quiet, clinical spaces where experts dissect every detail of a stone's identity. Under microscopes, specialists study growth lines, tiny mineral particles, and the natural fingerprints left behind during the gem's formation. These details reveal whether a sapphire is untreated, heat-enhanced, or artificially modified. Laboratories also determine whether the stone truly comes from Madagascar, Sri Lanka, or another major source. Origin matters enormously, especially for collectors. Madagascar sapphires often carry a unique richness and tone that sets them apart. Certificates issued by these labs act like passports, giving the gem credibility, value, and a story that can travel the world. Without them, even a beautiful stone risks being dismissed as ordinary. Meanwhile, back in Madagascar, the mining camps continue to shift and uproot like living organisms. When rumors spread that a new pocket of sapphire-rich soil has been discovered, thousands migrate overnight, families, lone diggers, and traders hauling bags of rice, tarps, and tools. Entire temporary towns rise in days, with makeshift shops selling batteries, cigarettes, flashlights, and small pans used to wash gravel. The air fills with the sound of metal scraping through dirt, with shouts of excitement when a stone is found, and with the constant hum of negotiating voices. But these settlements are fragile. Once a deposit runs dry, the camps collapse, leaving behind scars in the forest and thousands of people unsure where to go next. Some return home, many move on to chase the next rumor. The environmental cost of this constant movement is immense. Forests that once sheltered rare wildlife, lemurs, chameleons, and species found nowhere else on Earth, are slashed and burned to make room for pits and camps. Riverbeds are reshaped by uncontrolled digging, turning clear water into muddy channels. The search for sapphires often overrides concerns about ecology, because for many miners, survival comes first. Some outside organizations try to intervene, offering programs that teach sustainable mining techniques or encourage reforestation. But change is slow, especially in areas where people rely on daily finds to feed their families. The tension between economic need and environmental damage is a conflict that sits at the heart of Madagascar's sapphire industry. Yet even amid the difficult conditions, the mines become places of community. Miners share meals, tools, and stories. Children gather around sorting areas, their eyes trained to distinguish tiny flashes of blue from ordinary stones. Women wash gravel in nearby rivers, chatting as they swirl pans with practiced movements. There is hardship, but also resilience. For many, mining is not just work, it's a collective effort, a shared hope that someone in the group will uncover a stone big enough to lift everyone for a moment. On rare occasions, this happens. A miner finds a sapphire so pure and intense that the news spreads instantly, drawing crowds and buyers from miles away. These moments become legends, retold around fires long after the camps disappear. As sapphires travel further along the supply chain, the contrasts grow sharper. The same stone that was pulled from the soil by hands covered in dirt and sweat may later sit in a velvet-lined box under bright boutique lighting, surrounded by mirrors and soft music. Wealthy customers examine the gemstone between manicured fingers, admiring its fire and clarity without ever imagining the journey behind it. Jewelers highlight its craftsmanship and rarity, but rarely mention the narrow pits or the miners who risk collapses, exhaustion, or disease. Luxury has a way of smoothing rough edges, leaving only the shine, but the truth remains embedded in every facet. Each sapphire carries both beauty and struggle. In international auction houses, the story of a sapphire continues to evolve. Here, the atmosphere is controlled and immaculate, spotlights angled with precision, velvet trays arranged like art exhibits, and silent bidders raising numbered paddles with the slightest movement of a hand. Gemstones that once sat coated in dust inside the jungles of Madagascar are now presented as treasures of exceptional rarity. Auctioneers speak of cornflower blues, royal blues, and velvety saturation, using language crafted to stir emotion as much as expertise. A stone that miners sold for the equivalent of a week's wages may now start bidding at prices that could buy entire neighborhoods back home. Every increase in value widens the distance between the origin of the gem and the world that ultimately claims it. While some sapphires become luxury centerpieces, countless others take more understated paths. Many stones are cut into small sizes for affordable jewelry, sold in markets and tourist shops across the globe. Although less valuable, these gems carry the same geological history as the prized ones. For customers browsing colorful trays, the price may determine preference, but to the miners, each stone, large or tiny, represents hours of labor and risk. This divide between perception and reality is one of the industry's most striking contrasts. Sapphires are symbols of prestige, yet their existence depends heavily on people who live far from the luxury they help create. Inside the global sapphire economy, another layer of complexity unfolds, the relentless pursuit of authenticity. As synthetic sapphires become more sophisticated, the challenge of distinguishing natural from lab-grown grows even harder. Laboratories can replicate the color, clarity, and structure of natural gems with astonishing accuracy. These stones aren't fake in a traditional sense. They're real sapphires created through science rather than time. But for collectors and purists, the allure lies in nature's imperfections. A microscopic inclusion formed millions of years ago holds more narrative weight than a flawless crystal crafted in a furnace. This preference fuels constant innovation in gem testing and creates an invisible battlefield between natural beauty and technological precision. Back in Madagascar, however, those nuances rarely matter. For miners, the question is simple: did the day bring enough to keep going? Their income depends entirely on chance. Some days yield nothing, pushing families deeper into uncertainty. Other days bring small wins, just enough sapphires to buy food, fix a tool, or send a child back to school for a while. And on very rare days, a miner uncovers a stone so remarkable that it changes the trajectory of everyone around them. Villages celebrate these finds like victories. Traders spread the news instantly, attracting buyers from distant regions. But these moments also bring tension. Success can trigger jealousy, conflict, or theft. The boom and bust rhythm of sapphire mining keeps entire communities suspended between hope and insecurity. Despite these challenges, many miners describe sapphires not as mere stones, but as opportunities. They speak of the spirit of the land, of the idea that Madagascar gives and takes according to its own unpredictable rhythm. This sense of connection shapes how people work, trust, and dream. It's common to see miners whisper small prayers before descending into pits, or to watch families gather for blessings around a particularly promising hole. Whether rooted in tradition, faith, or survival, these rituals give meaning to an otherwise harsh and uncertain livelihood. And while the outside world focuses on the gem's beauty, those who dig for them often talk instead about perseverance, luck, and the memories tied to each moment. A blue spark appears in the dirt. As sapphires leave Madagascar and move deeper into global markets, the supply chain becomes more fragmented and less visible. Stones pass through the hands of exporters, middlemen, refiners, cutters, wholesalers, and finally retailers. Each step adds value, but also distance from the people who unearthed them, and distance from the land that held them for millions of years. By the time a sapphire reaches a high-end boutique in Paris or New York, its rough edges have been polished away, both literally and metaphorically. Customers see a finished jewel presented under flawless lighting, not the muddy pits, the sweltering heat, or the improvised tools used to dig it out. This disconnect highlights a truth the industry often avoids: luxury is built on layers of untold stories. At the retail level, sapphires take on new identities crafted through deliberate storytelling. Descriptions emphasize rarity, allure, and craftsmanship. Phrases like born of ancient fire, nature's deepest blue, or a gem fit for royalty. These narratives are not lies, they're selective truths. They focus on beauty, not circumstance. A sapphire that once sat in a miner's palm under the harsh sun now gleams beneath showcase lights, paired with gold and diamonds meant to amplify its brilliance. Sales assistants speak of its uniqueness, its aura, its legacy. The customer sees elegance. Only a few wonder about the path the stone followed, or the hands that held it before theirs. In the world of high jewelry, sapphires begin to symbolize more than wealth. They become markers of identity and aspiration. Designers use them to anchor limited edition collections, crafting pieces intended for collectors, celebrities, or museums. These jewels often feature rare, untreated stones prized for their pure, unaltered color. Some pieces are auctioned for eye-watering sums, their value enhanced not just by the gem itself, but by the story woven around it. A sapphire with an impeccable origin report, artisanal cutting, and a unique hue can be elevated to near mythical status, treated as both a fashion statement and an investment. Yet for every gem that makes headlines, countless others circulate quietly through modest jewelry stores or online marketplaces. These stones anchor wedding rings, anniversary gifts, or personal talismans carried in pockets. They remind people of milestones rather than markets. And while these sapphires may not command six-figure prices, their emotional value can be just as powerful. What unites all of them, from the rarest specimens to the simplest stones, is the geological miracle of their creation and the human stories intertwined with their journey. Increasingly, consumers are beginning to question this journey. Concerns over sustainability and ethical sourcing push brands to trace their gems back to the mines. Some companies invest in transparent supply chains, partnering directly with communities in Madagascar to ensure fair wages, safer working conditions, and environmental protections. Others sponsor local schools, build wells, or fund reforestation projects. These efforts are steps toward a more responsible industry, though challenges remain immense. Informal mining is difficult to regulate, and many miners still operate far outside the reach of official programs. Even so, the global interest in ethical sourcing signals a shift in how sapphires are valued, not only for their color, but for their impact. As technology evolves, blockchain systems and traceability programs attempt to close the gap between origin and ownership. Imagine a customer scanning a code on a sapphire necklace and seeing the exact region of Madagascar where it was found, the workshop where it was cut, and the hands that crafted its final form. This level of transparency is still rare, but growing. If widely adopted, it could rewrite the relationship between the mining communities and the luxury world, giving credit and visibility to those who stand at the very start of the supply chain. As Madagascar sapphires make their final passage across borders and markets, they transform once again, not through heat, cutting, or certification, but through the stories people tell about them. In luxury boutiques, these gems are presented as symbols of elegance, rarity, and timeless beauty. Yet beneath their polished surfaces lie deeper truths, the weight of entire communities, the echo of forest clearings, the memory of hands that worked through exhaustion for the chance to uncover a single glimmer of blue. A sapphire may sparkle effortlessly beneath boutique lights, but its brilliance is the result of countless hours of human resilience and geological wonder woven together across continents. What often goes unseen is how profoundly these stones shape the rhythm of life in Madagascar. Mining regions rise and fall with every rumor of a new find. Children learn to identify shades of blue long before they learn to write their names. Families migrate together, carrying not just tools but hope, hope that the earth will open a little that day, hope that the river will reveal something extraordinary. These communities do not speak of sapphires in terms of luxury. They speak of opportunity, survival, and possibility. In their world, a gemstone is not just a commodity, it is a moment of chance that can rewrite the trajectory of an entire household. And as the global conversation shifts toward ethics and transparency, a new narrative begins to form. Technology now allows a buyer to trace a gem back to its origin, creating a thread that connects a polished jewel in a showroom to a miner standing knee-deep in clay. Slowly, the luxury market starts to acknowledge the human landscape behind the shine. Brands invest in safer working conditions, fair trade chains, and environmental restoration, not as a marketing angle, but as recognition that beauty carries responsibility. These efforts remain imperfect, but they signal a future where the people at the beginning of the chain are no longer invisible. In the end, a sapphire's true value is not defined solely by its color or clarity. It lies in the collision of forces that brought it into existence, the unimaginable pressure that formed it deep within the earth, the harsh determination of miners who unearthed it, the precision of cutters who revealed its brilliance, and the dreams of those who eventually wear it. Each facet reflects more than light. It reflects the journey, the labor, and the land itself. No luxury setting can erase that origin. It can only amplify the story embedded in every crystal. So when a sapphire finally rests inside a finished piece of jewelry, it carries far more than a price tag. It carries the memory of jungles torn open for a glimpse of blue. It carries the voices of miners calling out when a promising stone is found. It carries the hum of workshops where sparks fly from metal and artisans shape gold with practiced hands. And it carries the quiet truth that even the most beautiful things in the world are rooted in struggle, patience, and the belief that something extraordinary can emerge from ordinary soil. If understanding this journey gives a sapphire a deeper meaning for you, share your thoughts, and if this story opened your eyes to what lies behind the brilliance of the world's blue gems, stay with us because there are countless other hidden worlds waiting just beneath the surface, ready to be uncovered.